All right, after President Trump's address on the border, the Democratic Party sent out these two carnival cutouts as a rebuttal. All that's missing were the bean bags to toss through their pie holes. Talk about stiff. Are we sure this wasn't a subtle promotion for the new season of The Walking Dead? Brought to you by the makers of formaldehyde. It's odorless, tasteless, but keeps you in government for decades. Look at them. Now, I'm not talking about how they look. That's too easy. It's just how they are. Like a couple of greeters at Cigar World. Old people get that. You want a wall? That's a wall. They are so rigid, they make Mike Pence look like this guy. To be that lawn. But it makes you wonder, what were they thinking?
On the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation.
Where am I? Where do I look? Straight ahead?
Effective border security solutions.
Should I have worn my glasses? But they tickle my nose.
Bills which would reopen government.
Why does she get to speak first? She always does. I hate her.
To waste billions of dollars.
And I have better hair. I pay a lot for it.
A wall he always promised.
Plus, I'm a senator, so I get to stand on the little wooden box. Do you know how many squirrels it took to make this weave?
Hold hostage critical services.
I love squirrels. They have big fluffy tails. One covers my bald spot.
True. Now, if you're looking for proof of how truly screwed up government is, look no further. Trump's address wasn't earth-shattering. He colored within the lines. He stuck to the facts, even repeating the same points the Democrats and the media had stated before. Still, it didn't matter. The media was giddy with fact-checking.
Fact-checkers, eat your Wheaties today.
Yeah, we'll be fact-checking relentlessly.
They have to have real-time fact-checking.
Setting the scene for an address that will test the fact-checkers later on tonight.
Oh, they're so excited. They're like grade school kids around free ice cream or Kevin Spacey at a high school wrestling match. But when the time came, there wasn't much to fact-check. The crime stats were legit. The number of kids abandoned, factual. The anecdotes Trump listed, sadly, were all too real, which is why they had to redefine fact-checking as disgruntled commentary. Seriously, I wonder what they were thinking.
We address you tonight for one reason only.
I could really go for a hoagie with ham, cheese, onions, lettuce, pickles, some mustard.
And unable to convince
pastrami, salami, tomatoes. No tomatoes, more cheese. That cheese with holes.
Work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum.
Why does cheese have holes? That seems like a ripoff. Talk about cheese with holes. Oh God, what is that smell? Oh Chuck, not again. That is just deadly. See a doctor, please. I think something's dead inside you.
And, of course, the media made fools of themselves, pretending there is no crisis when just weeks before they were calling it a crisis themselves. Remember the caravan? Wasn't that a crisis? Not anymore.
The big scam of the whole address was that there's a crisis. There's not a crisis.
The president's speech was a litany of scare stories about immigrants being terrible criminals.
This is a crisis that he wants you to believe is worth shutting down, a manufactured crisis.
That address probably should have come with a Surgeon General's warning. It was hazardous to the truth.
You know that it costs to practice that line in front of a CNN bathroom mirror. And Don Lemon's like, killer line, Jim. Don't forget to flush. But damn, if Jimmy doesn't make Trump's points for him.
Here are some of the steel slats that the president's been talking about right here. As we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence here in the McAllen, Texas area. No sign of the national emergency that the president has been talking about. As a matter of fact, it's pretty tranquil down here.
Okay, so here I am in front of a wall, and there are no illegals crossing it. Some people might call that cause and effect, but not Jim. They have nothing to do with each other. You know, he should do more of this. You know, here I am holding an umbrella in the rain, and my God, I am dry. Clearly, there's no rain. Now, when I put on these sunglasses, suddenly the sun's glare is gone. Obviously, the sun has gone missing. But I wonder if Trump appreciated the sales pitch.
Good job yesterday. I appreciate your sales pitch. I appreciate your sales pitch.
I didn't see an invasion at the border.
Oh, you didn't? I know. That's because we had a wall.
Oh, my God. I don't care. I don't care what you think of Trump. You could put him on Rushmore for that alone. As for poor Jim, that wasn't even the worst part of his week.
Can you promise that the president will tell the truth tonight? Will he tell the truth?
Yes, Jim, and can you promise that you will? The whole truth and nothing but the truth to help you, God? Am I allowed to mention God to you? No, but that, you know, Jim, I know that's a cheat. Make sure that goes viral. Okay. This is why, by the way, this is why I'm one of the only people around here who even gives you the time of day.
Can you guarantee?
And let me get back in your face, because you're such a smart ass most of the time, and I know you want this to go viral. A lot of these people don't like you. But let me just be respectful to the media at large, as I always am. I explained that that was alternative information and additional facts. And I explained it many times. And don't you put it back in my face for all the corrections that your network needs to issue.
Whoa! I have a public service announcement.
And now, a public service announcement.
If you happen to come across two fleshy, prune-sized orbs rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue, please put them on ice and promptly return them to Jim Acosta.
This has been a public service announcement.
So the crisis is now a circus. How did this happen? Well, we know that the media makes everything worse, including even politics, which is already the worst thing ever. Politics is the invisible gas that seeps into any discussion, removing nuance and compromise and replacing both with what I call the prison of two ideas. And each side must pick their cell and never leave. So even if Chuck agreed with Trump on immigration just a few years ago, it doesn't really matter. He's got to stay in his cell. And the media makes it worse by turning these prisons into business models. There's no way MSNBC or the New York Times can make any money if Chuck and Nancy agree with Trump. Compromise doesn't sell advertising. Meanwhile, this is all made possible by 2 years of peace and prosperity. Seriously, the only way we can endure this kind of idiotic malfeasance is if all the big stuff is taken care of. Jobs, terror, economy. Because Trump has gone down his list and ticked off all the big things, the Dems can afford to indulge this lunacy, holding workers hostage and pretending walls are some immoral phenomenon that Trump somehow just invented. It's quite a spectacle. It makes you hate our government. It makes you want to turn off the news and, God forbid, go talk to your family. Most of all, it makes you see things as they really are, or rather, who they really are, and what they're really thinking.
He promised to keep government shut down for months or years.
Where am I? Am I still here? I should be home by now. The Greg Gutfeld show is on. He always has a good take on things.
Secure our borders while honoring our values.
Sure, he can be rude, but I usually find him to be spot on in his analysis.
We can install new technology to...
It's a shame they canceled Sarah Silverman's show. Maybe she can get a job writing for Greg Gutfeld.
To facilitate trade.
Oh, what's that smell? Is that me? I gotta get out of here. Look out below.